welcome to my channel once again, and another flight simulator flight will be undergoing in just a moment. Today's flight will be the return flight from Bacolod to Cebu, this time on Cebu Pacific's ATRs 72-600, operated by CEB. Today's flight will be a little bit longer than our flight we did on our previous video, as we are flying in a turboprop, which is a bit slower. However, it's relevant to the flights that are available in real life. So we're going to start GSX. This parking position is very commonly used by turboprops here in Bacolod Silay International Airport, and we're going to request for boarding here in Bacolod. And while the boarding is taking place, we will set up our flight plan and prepare for departure. So first we go to the FMS. We're going to do the position first.
Do you want to board crew?
Reload the GPS in, and we'll confirm. Now we go back, we go to flight plan, we go to route, and then we'll be going from Romeo Papa Victor Bravo / Romeo Papa Victor Mike. Oh, not November, we want Mike. Our flight identity today will be Delta Golf 6469, and we'll execute. And our departure today, let me just double check on my phone, we'll be on runway 21, and we'll be doing today, where are we going? We are going on the Vic 2 Bravo departure, no transition, execute. And then for our arrival in Mactan, Cebu will be RNAV 22, and our arrival will be on the Del O 3 Papa. Let me just check. Oh no, we're on the 3 Romeo arrival. With any transitions, let me just double check. We have a transition at Golda, and we'll execute. Now, we like the Airbus system, and actually there's commonality in ATR and Airbus. There'll be flight discontinuity. I'll just clear that because we are on such a short flight. We'll execute. Now we'll do the performance. We have to do, where are we going? We'll have to do the weights first. Let's go to menu. We'll do the weights. 0 fuel weight. Now, again, like the Airbus that we're flying with, you can press and hold. You get all your weights. Okay. And then we'll go to performance page, and we now have our V numbers. So 104 for V1, rotate is 104 as well. Now, you can see here, this is a customized boarding system. I'll just pop outside, and you can see that the passengers are walking from the terminal, which is actually what they do in real life here. By default, GSX wants to give you buses. So this is true to life here. And it looks like our baggage handlers are also waiting for our bags to arrive. Now, while we're in this position, we will now call for our IFR clearance from the ATR, from ATC. IFR clearance.
Bacolod Tower BLUEJAY 6469er IFR to McTan, ready to copy.
Blue Jay 6469er is cleared to McTan Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 21 climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Departure frequency is 127.5 squawk 1045.
Blue Jay 6469er cleared to McTan Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 21 climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Departure on 127.5 squawk 1045.
Blue Jay 6469 Niner readback correct. Contact ground on 118.8. Good day.
Okay, we've done our IFR clearance now, and they should be ready for us to depart. Now we're going to stand by the navigation, or the LNAV, and I'll stand by on the vertical speed as well, so as we depart we can engage the autopilot. It looks like our passengers are almost all on. There is a small bug with this particular customization. I don't know why, but you can see passengers are walking sort of in the opposite direction, and sort of walking backwards and forwards. It's a bit strange, but that's okay. So our plane is pretty much set up, and now I'm not 100% familiar with the ATR, but I am loving flying this aircraft. I'm able to get the aircraft set up, ready to go for flights, and I can do point A to point B very easily. Now, one of the things I do like about this aircraft is how it automatically does your transponder. So when you, for example, here we just did our IFR clearance. The IFR clearance gives you a squawk code which you put in the transponder so that the air traffic control knows which aircraft they are talking to and which aircraft they can see on their radar. So I put the during the IFR clearance, it automatically adds it to the transponder, and again when we get to the runway, it will automatically turn the transponder into the relevant mode, which is the traffic avoidance, I'm trying to think what it's called, TA and RA mode. So we'll just wait for the bags to load up now, and well, at the same time looking at this Airbus A320 of Air Asia Philippines parked at the airport here. Now while we're waiting, we might as well have a little walk around. Now I have a little walk around the aircraft first, and you can see this is a wonderfully detailed aircraft and very, very affordable, especially if you like regional flying. Now I think personally that Microsoft Flight Simulator is the perfect platform for those who like short flying, regional flying, and VFR flying. That's visual flying for those who are not in the know, as visual flying requires lots of detail, and with the Bing map data you can pretty much guarantee that you can follow roads, rivers, and other such landmarks along the way. And where they have been doing updates over the last, it's been out now for 3 years, Flight Simulator, there has been also landmarks added, customized landmarks. Now I'm just going to have a walk around here so you can have a look at this aircraft as well. This is the A320. Now interestingly, this is a traffic mod that is that I've added onto the game. And the traffic mod is actually free, completely free. And you can see the level of detail even on this aircraft. It's very good. I like how Microsoft Flight Simulator has the jet bridges also. And being in Bacolod recently, this is very true to life. The position of everything, even the airport, how it's laid out here, it's pretty true to life. And if we go over to the front here, now you don't get these kind of buses here in Bacolod, but it's fine. This is the departures side of the airport, and the arrival side is over here, and it's, although basic detail, it's good. This is a freeware airport, completely free, and it's very nice. And that's true as well. You can come over to this side of the front of the terminal, and you can actually see whatever aircraft is parking in that that gate with the jet bridge there, and also the turboprops, whether it's Philippine Airlines -8 or the Cebu Pacific ATR. Now, you might have heard on the ATC that there is an inbound aircraft. So we might even get an opportunity to see a landing aircraft from, well, that uses the traffic AI setup. And you just heard from ATC. There you go. That's a Cebu Pacific flight. I believe it's from Manila. Now, the interesting part about the traffic that's available, or the traffic that you can get on this freeware, is that it uses Flight Radar 24 info. So in fact, I can open up Flight Radar right now, and I can check what aircraft that is, because it will be on the Flight Radar. And let's have a look. Arrivals. So that would be from Manila, and it should be an Airbus A320. Could be a Neo. It might not be a Neo. Now this flight that I'm flying, DG-6469, is operated in the morning, very early in the morning in fact. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning from Bacolod to Cebu. And it's a return leg from Cebu, which again is a very early flight. In Asia, not just in the Philippines but all over Asia, they seem to have a lot of flights that land and depart very, very early in the morning and throughout the night, which is very unusual in Europe, because in most European places there's lots of curfews and restrictions on when aircraft are allowed to fly. Now that Cebu Pacific flight is actually on short final now. So like I say, the last few bags are coming on, but why not we go see this aircraft that's coming in for landing. We'll stand in a safe location close to the runway, and I can hear it as well. The sound is amazing. It's an A320 by the looks of it, not Neo version. I can't tell actually. GSX just gave me the notification that boarding is complete. Oh yeah, look at that. Cebu Pacific A320 landing. Wow. So there you go, look at that. That's nice, isn't it? Right, let's go back to the aircraft and then we'll prepare for our departure now that GSX has finished boarding. Now unfortunately, GSX, like I say, can be a bit buggy, and these passengers are still walking. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go jump back into the cockpit, disconnect ground power, take the tail prop, close the doors. So doors are now closed. I'm going to turn the fuel pump on for engine 1. And then we're going to tell GSX that we're going to prepare for departure. Now here, we don't want a pushback, and that's it. We are ready to go. So beacon light comes on, and then we're going to start engine 1. Start engine 1. And we're going to watch the... I'm going to wait for 15% over here. 15% set to feather. And it should kick itself into life. There we go, look at that. So that's engine 1 starting. Now here, on this particular parking bay, and like I say, I have real world experience of this as a passenger. They don't do pushback, it's just a turnaround. Okay, engine 1 is feathering. Now we're going to turn the prop brake off, and in fact I'm going to have to go to this position here. So the prop brake, which as you can see is what's causing engine 2's propeller not to spin, but it's actually on, needs to be turned off. First we have to press the hydraulic auxiliary pump. Now the ready marker is on there. Release the guard, turn off, unlocking, and now prop brake is off. So let me just reset the camera position, and then we'll go outside, and you can see both engines are turning with the props. Okay, right, Now we can depart. We'll release the wheel chocks from the wheels, and then we'll set engines to automatic. Now we're going to call ATC for IFR taxi.
Ready to taxi IFR.
Taxi light comes on as well.
Blue Jay 6469er taxi to and hold short of runway 21 via taxiway Bravo. Contact tower on 118.8 when ready.
Okay.
Taxi to and hold short runway 21 using taxiway
So,
Bravo Blue Jay.
this is one of the
6469er.
things I really like about this aircraft, and it's how you can turn on a dime, pretty much. Right, so first we'll insert a little bit of power, and then we'll turn. Okay. Now I forgot to do the hydraulics, that's why we cannot turn. And then we're also going to turn anything we see off on, which is basically just the window heaters and the probe heats. Okay, so we're now going to turn the aircraft. Like I say, you can pretty much turn this on a dime. You can see how well it's turning. Now unfortunately GSX, like I say, is a bit buggy sometimes, so we might end up accidentally going through these people. But look how well this aircraft turns. Especially, you can see we've got an A320 just parked up next to us, so we have to turn within the limits of that as well. Okay, now that we've done a full 360 turn, we can now move forwards. Flaps go down to 15 degrees, which is the normal takeoff flaps for this aircraft. And then we'll taxi out via taxiway Bravo. And like every Airbus aircraft, including the ATR, brake test should be done. And it always is, just after moving the aircraft. Now, that was a very quick taxi, wasn't it? Small airports I absolutely love, and actually here Bacolod is no exception. I quite like Bacolod's airport in real life. So we're just gonna approach the hold bars here. I'm just checking the runway, there's no one coming, and it's quite a quiet airport most of the time. So yeah, we'll just stop here, just hold short. I'll set the parking brake, and then we'll give the attendants a quick call. We will set the landing lights on, strobe lights to on, we don't need the wing lights, and then we'll call the ATC again for our departure clearance.
Bacolod Tower BLUEJAY 6469er, ready for
Turn
IFR
off the gas lock.
departure, runway 21.
Blue Jay 6469er QNH 29.89er winds 210 at 8. Cleared for takeoff runway 21.
Okay,
Cleared for takeoff runway 21 BLUEJAY 6469er.
now naturally, or should I say in real life, the air traffic control would ask for taxi for backtrack before they give you the clearance, but Flight Simulator doesn't know how to do that. Now I'm going to tell you a little story. The last time I was here, which wasn't that too long ago from the recording of this video, flying on this this type of aircraft, the ATR 72. It was during tropical depression period. During tropical depressions, as I've been learning, because it's the first time I've kind of seen the thick of it, and they've been coming on and off in the Philippines and all around Southeast Asia for the last few months, especially with tropical storms quite prevalent at the moment. But as I was going to allude to, that when I did this flight in real life, not this flight number, I did the evening flight, which has a different flight number. We did this exact taxi down to 21 for departure, and we did a backtrack. However, we didn't depart straight away. We were told to hold short, and we were told to wait on the runway. Now, interestingly, we're waiting on the runway for approximately, I would say it was about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, while a weather system was passing through. And it was really heavy rain with very strong winds. It was so heavy, like the winds, for example, that the aircraft was moving with the wind while we were waiting. And obviously, it was beyond the limits of the ATR. And luckily, the aircraft got out between these what so-called depressions. Called depressions because they go in and out all the time. They sort of give extreme weather, then they clear up, and then they give extreme weather. You know, it's kind of on and off all the time. A bit like I guess a medical depression, or medical psychological depression. You know, you kind of go in and out of stages. Now we're making the back track, and now we're just turning to line up with the runway. Now this aircraft for a turboprop is extremely easy to fly, actually, with the automatic feathering. Now before we depart, we're gonna just stop for a moment. Once we line it up, there you go, perfect. And we'll just stop for a moment, and we're gonna check that our controls are free and they're correct. Perfect. Right, ready for departure. Let's go. Throttles are going up. Now we want to aim for this white gate on the throttles for our departure. Now I think I just went a little too over that, but should be okay for our flight. We're rolling now. Airspeed is alive, 80 knots. V1, rotate. Now you have to be careful with the rotation on this aircraft because you could easily tail strike. Luckily that time we didn't. Positive rate of climb, gears going up. Now if you hear that wailing, that's the trim. I'm just trying to trim the aircraft so it's a bit easier to fly. Oh, look at that wind. Just being pushed a bit by the gusts, and you can even see by our speed indicator.
Contact McTan Center on 127.5. Good day.
127.5 BLUEJAY 6469.
1,000 feet, I'm going to engage the autopilot.
McTan Center BLUEJAY 6469er is passing 1,300 feet, climbing 12,000 feet.
Okay, so we're now departing Bacolod. Actually, we're departing directly into the city center. The city of Bacolod is right in front of us right now. I'm going to allow the speed to climb a bit. Actually, I might drop the nose a little bit just to let the speed build up so we can bring flaps up. 160 knots. Flaps coming up. Flaps to the up position. Now we're making our turn just before the city center. And then the speed is climbing. Now we're going to try to get up to... Speed is still climbing. We'll turn the power management to climb mode. We're at 185 knots. That's a good speed for climb. We'll set IAS, which is the indicated airspeed climb mode. So now we're turning left. We're going to loop around and fly directly over the airport. Now the reason why they do this on this particular flight is that this type of aircraft needs to gain altitude first before going over the mountains. And because if the aircraft had the capability of flying faster and climb higher, these kind of departures here probably don't need to be done. So you can see the airport there. We're just flying right over the top of where we just came from. Now we're heading away from Bacolod and towards the town of Silay, and then over towards Carditz. Now we're climbing at 185 knots. I'm not too sure what the actual climb speed is for this aircraft, but when you set up IAS, it often puts you at 170 knots, so we might be a little bit too fast. However, we've got a pretty good climb rate, so I'm quite happy to leave it where it is. Now I'm making a turn again as we capture the flight plan, as you can see on this map. The flight simulator is absolutely incredible for its visuals. That's why I love flying on it, and I've mentioned when we're on the ground that this is an amazing simulator for visual flying. As you can see most details, you can follow most major roads because of Bing Maps. Now Bing Maps, obviously, and we all know, not the most accurate map system in the world, but the satellite imagery gives enough detail for the flight simulator that you can actually make out towns, cities, roads, rivers, you know, all the major sites that you need for visual flying, which is, you know, of course a very good thing. You can see the highlands on the right. Now we'll be flying over that way. However, like I said to you, this aircraft needs to climb altitude first, because these are very, very high mountains. In fact, they're very, very scenic too. You know, they're what I would call proper highlands, a bit like in Scotland. You know, you get proper highlands there too. And we're still in the climb out, so okay.
Climb and maintain flight level 260, call red 353.
So like I said to you, we've already set up our flight plan here, so we don't really have to do anything like I did on the last flight from Cebu, as it's a very short flight, and if I'm honest, the flight plan shouldn't change unless some dramatic weather comes about, but likelihood is no, it's not going to change. And the winds are quite strong again, as you can see from this indicator here on just underneath GS. GS is ground speed. The winds are at 236, 25 knots. 236 is right behind us, which, as you can see by the arrow, that's the direction of the wind. Which means this flight could be shorter than I was expecting it to be, potentially, but we'll see. Because we're going to turn, we're going to end up in a, you know, in a headwind, I guess. We're going to be heading into the wind instead. Once we make this turn, but it depends on if the winds change, and if the winds change when we go over the mountains. So we should start making that right turn. I can see on our indicators that we're still following up to Victor, and it should make a turn now. There we go. Now we're following to Delor waypoint, making our turn. And this is why I say, like, you can really, even here in the Philippines, not very well detailed in terms of the land, but you can still see the main roads here, you can still see the rivers, so you can easily do visual flying here. (8,500 feet). Now you can go to a passenger view if you like and see the propeller out from the side, or we can go back into the cockpit and we can, wow, that's an overturn, that is. Yeah, this is one thing I've noticed with the ATR. Sometimes it makes the turns a little bit too steep, but that's okay. So one of the things I like about this aircraft is you have this very well detailed passenger view, which you can see here. Now, very accurate to the real life, and is very nice to have a look at. Now you can look. You can actually see Bacolod's airport again. That's where we started from. And if we go outside, now look at this. This is why I say this is an absolutely stunning flight simulator, and it's just amazing that we have it now. And we'll go back to the cockpit. And we got quite a heavy crosswind to our right. Now I've left the seatbelt sign on as we're climbing over these mountains. It's a little bit bumpy. You can already see it in the way the camera is moving a bit. And then now that we're here and we're above 10,000 feet, I'll turn off the landing lights, don't need it above 10,000 feet. We will prepare for our arrival. Now, like I say, we've already programmed the arrival into our navigation, so we don't really have to do anything other than to prepare for our arrival. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Now we're on an RNAV approach, but I'm also going to program the ILS because there is ILS on the runways here. So I'm just going to get the ILS frequencies. So we can program into the aircraft. Now ILS frequency for runway 22 is 109. We'll select the standby 109.10. Okay, enter and switch. So I'll program that. I need to program quickly program the course. The course will be set to 224, which will line us up for the ILS. So course is 224 degrees. Now we're experiencing some moderate turbulence here. Moderate turbulence. 224. So now we're ready for our arrival into Cebu now. That's us. 13,000, that's our cruise altitude.
13,000 feet, Blue Jay 6469.
So we'll just set 13. And we'll do a climb. We're just flying over the highlands here of Negros and experiencing light to moderate turbulence over the mountains, which, if you know anything about turbulence, the most common place for turbulence is over mountains. Now sometimes here in the Philippines you get some pretty crazy weather and lots of big thunderstorms. Yeah, it's one of the amazing things about flying in a place like the Philippines. We're almost at our cruise. And then once we're at cruise, we can set power management to cruise, and then we'll control the speed. We'll probably cruise today at about 220 knots if we can get up to that speed, but we'll have to see with the current wind conditions. Just allow the aircraft to settle into 13,000 feet. As you can see, we're at 12,800. Speed is climbing a little bit, which is okay. Then I'm going to set power management to cruise mode. Speed should start to climb a little bit as we level out. Like I say, we aim for 210 to 220 knots. Right now we're at 195 knots indicated. Now this is a early flight, so I've set this for early morning. We're heading towards the east, and you can see the sun is to our east as well. The reflection of the water, fantastic. You know, I love the details on this flight simulator. I cannot tell you how much I really like the details, especially considering where we came from. And now with most of the world updates, most of Europe is covered, so flying around Europe is even like at a much higher level than what you're seeing here. Now I'll do some flights around Europe, especially the UK, my home base. I'll try to get some videos out using the ATR, especially with Logan Air. Logan Air is a very big operator of the ATR in the UK, and they do various flights around Scotland and some around England too. But for now, we are proceeding across the water, which divides the island of Negros and Cebu. And Cebu is directly in front of us, as you can see. You can see the sun is glaring off to our left very beautifully. I don't have any sunshades for this side of the aircraft, unfortunately. The only sunshade I have is this one, but it doesn't. It doesn't really take the glare away, but it's fine. So it's not going to be long now before we get our descent clearance, or our descent.
Call red 353 climb and maintain flight level 350.
So we should be... Let's have a look. Two, 6, 7, 8. We're about 10 to 15 minutes away from our landing now. We should be receiving our descent clearance shortly also, because we should be at the Golda. Our next waypoint is Nelpa, then Golda. Now at Golda we should be at 4,000 feet. The aircraft is struggling with speed today. Well, indicated speed anyway. There we go. We have our descent clearance.
Descend and maintain
5,000. Let's go down.
6469er.
Oops. I do that sometimes. I scroll for the altitude or the heading, and then I end up pulling the zoom instead. Right, we'll set to 5,000, and then we'll set VS mode, nose down, and at the same time we'll bring back our throttles, as this aircraft does not have a auto throttle, which is very common in prop aircraft. So no, we're still experiencing turbulence, so we are still on the seatbelt sign in the cabin. It's quite getting a bit heavier actually over here.
Maintain 4,000 feet airfield 2364.
Visibility is good today, so should be okay.
You are 23 miles northwest. Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Keep speed not above 250 knots. Expect RNAV runway 22 approach via Golda transition. Clear to Golda. Airfield 2364 contact. McTan approach on 124.7. Good day.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Keep speed not above 250 knots. Expect RNAV runway 22 approach via Golda transition. Clear to Golda Blue Jay 6469er.
So we just got our clearance now for our arrival or our approach into Cebu.
Maintain 4,000 feet. Expect VOR DME Zulu runway 22 approach via Mike Charlie Tango transition. Clear to Mike Charlie Tango Singapore 906.
We have quite a bit of traffic in the air. As you heard, there's a Singapore. Sounds like there's another Cebu Pacific. There might even be a Air Asia as well.
124.7 airfield 2364. Blue Jay 6469er contact. McTan approach on
Okay,
121.2.
approach.
Good day.
121.2 for BLUEJAY 6469er. McTan approach BLUEJAY 6469er is passing 10,300 feet, descending 4,000 feet.
Blue Jay 6469er McTan approach QNH 29er.89er. Continue to Golda as planned.
Okay, so we got our clearance. You can see I'm always looking to the right here, but that's only because this area here, you can see the sprawl of Cebu, the metro area. So I'm just keeping my eye to the right because that's also where the airport is, on the island of Mactan. You can see the island of Mactan where my mouse is. I'm just keeping an eye. As we got visuals, we can do that.
06 is at 7,000 feet, descending 4,000 feet. Singapore 906 McTan approach QNH 29er.89er. Continue to Mike Charlie Tango as planned.
Now you can hear there's quite a bit of traffic in the area this morning. Well, I say morning, I'm recording this and it's evening in the Philippines right now. But this flight is in reality taking place in the morning, which I have set morning time. So we just have to keep an eye out on traffic, both on our displays, on a navigational display, and also visually outside of the window. I'm actually going to engage the vertical navigation because we're pretty much on path for the vertical navigation, so it should bring us down quite comfortably, 4,000 and 3,000. We'll just roll back the throttles a little bit more as well because our speed is getting up a bit, but it's not a problem because we should be we should be below 250 knots. We can't really get up to 250 knots. That will be overstressing the airframe at this particular point. I'll just give a call to the attendants, and well, there's only normally one. Well, there's two attendants on this aircraft. Normally with Cebu Pacific, one at the front of the cabin, one at the back of the cabin. Some ATR operators only fly with one flight attendant, but I think that might be just the 42. I'm still visual with the airport and the city, so it's good so far. We can probably hand fly most of the way down once we line up with the runway.
Blue Jay 6469er descend and maintain 2,400 feet.
Okay, 2,400 feet, Blue Jay 6469.
2,400 feet, Blue Jay 6469er.
So you can see on my flight plan here, we should be making a slight right turn again, and then we'll be making a 90-degree right turn, and that should line us up with the runway. I'm going to start to bring the speed down below 200 knots. so we can start to prepare for our arrival. So now in flight idle. Just gonna let the speed bleed off a bit. Okay, up to 200 knots. We'll hold 200. Let the speed come up again. There you go. This is one of the things you have to do with turboprops. I can see there's an aircraft just ahead of us here, where my mouse is. That might be the Singapore aeroplane.
Blue Jay 6469er, you are 14 miles northeast of McTan. Contact McTan Tower on 118.11 inbound on the approach.
Okay.
Tower on 118.1 BLU EJAY 6469er. McTan Tower BLU EJAY 6469er 14 miles northeast inbound RNAV runway 22 approach.
Blue Jay 6469er McTan Tower. QNH 29er.9er 1 wind 232 at 11. Cleared RNAV runway 22 approach.
Cleared RNAV runway 22 approach BLU EJAY 6469er.
Making our final turn now. Gonna bring back the speed so we can. I can see the runway. There are two aircraft in front of us by the looks of it.
McTan Tower Singapore Niner 065 miles east inbound for DME Zulu runway 22 approach.
Yeah, so I think the Singapore is directly in front of us.
McTan Tower.
We'll just increase the speed a bit,
29er.9er 1 wind 232 at 11.
because we might get some
DME Zulu runway 22
wake from those aircraft.
Blue Jay 69er 28 go around.
One of our colleagues has been asked to go around.
Cleared for DME Zulu runway 22 approach Singapore Niner 06. Going around Blue Jay 69er 28. Blue Jay 69er 28 contact McTan approach on 124.7.
I'm in approach mode now, so we've got the ILS. Just follow the ILS down. Aircraft just adjusting itself.
124.7 for Blue Jay 69er 28.
Now, one of the things I've been told, not by real ATR pilots, but one of the things I've read about the ATR,
Cebu Air Flight 82 contact McTan Center on 127.5.
like many other turboprop aircraft, you can pretty much bleed the speed off very quickly. So that's why I'm holding what would be considered quite a high approach speed. But that's only also to keep up with the traffic. In fact, there's a traffic just to our left, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bleed some more speed. I'm going to let this aircraft in front of us go. Now, this is one of the only problems with Flight Simulator, is the
Singapore Niner 06
different prioritizing of
wind 232 at 11.
traffic. So let's extend to flaps 15. We'll allow some more drag to take place.
Clear to land runway
We'll try to
22,
keep our
Singapore Niner
spacing from
06.
this aircraft in front of us, which is less than 2 miles, about 2 miles away from us. So we're good on the ILS.
Airfield 2 tree, 64 exit runway 1 able.
Set to 4,000 feet for the go around.
Blue Jay 6469er number 2 for landing. Follow the Boeing on final. Wind 232 at 11.
It is coming down.
Clear to land runway 22.
Okay, so we're following.
Cleared to land runway 22 number 2 BLU EJAY.
We're following the Singapore Airlines 737. We'll go full flaps now, and we'll let the speed just bleed off. I'll allow the autopilot to keep flying. Why not?
Airfield 2 tree, 64, turn next taxiway.
That Singapore might be going around, but we'll see. I'll let the speed bleed off some more.
Airfield 2 tree, 64 contact ground on 121.8.
Just hold the speed there. I can now see the bridge, the newer bridge going across from
121.8 for Airfield fill 2364.
Mactan to Cebu, well, Mactan to Mandawi City in Cebu. Just be careful with the wake of this aircraft. Hopefully the Singapore can turn off before we get on our approach, otherwise we're going into a go-around mode. Power management set for takeoff just in case we have to do go-around. With this distance that we're at, we might have to, but I'm going to disengage the autopilot. We're getting very slow.
Singapore 906, turn next taxiway.
They're going to ask me to go around in a second.
Singapore 906, exit runway when able. Blue Jay 6469er, go around. Singapore 906, contact ground on 121.8.
Okay, so we're going around.
Going to 121.8 Singapore 906.
Going around BLUEJAY 6469er.
Blue Jay 6469er, contact McTan approach on 121.2. Good day.
121.2 for BLUEJAY.
Okay, so you get to see a go-around now. Now this is one of the things I like about the ATR. The go-around is programmed into the aircraft for the approach. We'll just contact Mactan approach.
McTan approach BLUEJAY 6469er is missed approach at McTan.
Blue Jay 6469er, climb and maintain 4,000 feet. Keep speed not above 250 knots. Blue Jay 6469er, you are 2 miles southwest. Climb and maintain 4,000 feet. Expect door DME Zulu runway 22 approach via Mike Charlie Tango transition. Clear to Mike Charlie Tango.
Climb and maintain 4,000 feet. Expect VOR DME Zulu runway 22 approach via Mike Charlie Tango transition. Cleared to Mike Charlie Tango Blue Jay 6469er.
So we're going to do a go around here in Mactan, and I can see Mactan is looking very pretty today, as usual, I guess. So there's a lot of resorts here on Mactan Island, very popular with Koreans and Japanese. You see the airport there. Oops. Okay, so we've been given an approach. Now I have to remember how to do this one. I forgot how to do this now.
McTan approach Blue Jay 6722 is at 7,100 feet, descending 4,000 feet. Blue Jay 6469er, descend and maintain 1,800 feet. Blue Jay 6722 McTan approach QNH 29er decimal 9er 1, continue to Mike Charlie Tango as planned.
Descend and maintain 1,800 feet. Blue
1,800.
Jay 6469er.
Vertical speed, and we'll roll back the throttles again. I wonder if it'll give me like a proper vectoring into the runway here. Just let me vector straight in.
646 you are 5 miles southeast of McTan.
Ah.
Contact McTan Tower on 118.11 inbound.
Okay.
Tower on 118.1 BLUEJAY 6469er.
So what I'll do then is I'll capture the ILS on my own, because for some reason they're not going to vector me in for it.
McTan Tower BLUEJAY 6469er, 7 miles southeast inbound for DME Zulu runway 22 approach.
Blue Jay
Just gonna bring the aircraft
646
around.
McTan Tower. QNH 29.9er, 1 wind 232 at 11. Cleared for DME Zulu runway 22 approach.
Yeah, what we'll do, we'll just fly parallel for a moment.
Cleared VOR DME
Ah,
Zulu runway
our
22
glide slope
approach,
is alive.
BLUEJAY
And
6469.
we should be able to start our turn. So we're doing everything by a visual standpoint now, with instrument guidance. So we're just hitting the glide slope altitude for this distance. I'll let that climb up, and then we'll make a 90-degree left turn, and then we'll capture the localizer and then make another left turn. Let's start now. We're almost at the second bar. So I'm going to turn 90 degrees. Let's say about 320. That's roughly 90 degrees. Now we have to be cautious with the traffic, because there is another ATR somewhere around here doing this go-around approach as well. Now we're going to cut in a little bit because we're flying pretty low among to the glide slope, which you can see on this indicator here. The bars above, it means we are low. The bars below, it means we are high. So the runway is at our 11 o'clock position. I can see it there. And then we're going to cut into the approach at 1,800, which we're holding now. And then we'll follow the ILS down. We'll turn our heading bug in a moment as well, so we can capture the localizer. The localizer is what guides you from left to right, and the glide slope, as it says, it glides you down. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut the approach at about this sort of angle. See, I'm doing this without any guidance from air traffic control, because the air traffic control from Flight Simulator isn't 100% accurate to real life. So now we're going to go flaps 1 or flaps to 15 degrees. Set approach. We just overdid the localizer actually, because I wasn't paying attention. It should be able to capture it though, because the glide slope should be captured in a moment also. I can see the runway. I'll just check the ATC. Yeah, I've already told them that I'll be inbound. Gears coming down just before we capture the glide slope. And we should be getting our final... There you go, got the glide slope. That was a bit violent. Now we're at a slight angle. But that's not a problem. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to full flaps, disengage the autopilot off hand fly. There's our...
3 miles east inbound for DME Zulu runway 22 approach. Blue Jay 672 to McTan Tower. QNH 29.9er, 1 wind 232 at 11. Cleared for DME Zulu runway 22 approach.
There we go, clear to land.
At 11. Clear to land runway 22. Cleared BRDME Zulu runway 22 approach Blue Jay 6722. McTan Tower Cebu Air 569er 14 miles northeast inbound for DME Zulu runway 22 approach.
Can't see my
Cebu Air
instruments.
569er
Oh my gosh.
McTan Tower. QNH 29
Can't see my airspeed.
232 at 11. Cleared BRDME Zulu runway 22 approach.
Cleared to land runway
There we
22
go.
BLUEJAY.
Managed to keep our
6469.
call while I couldn't see my instruments.
Cleared BRDME Zulu runway 22
Now,
approach Cebu Air 569er.
we shouldn't be on a go around now because we're looking good. There's no traffic in front of us. In fact, traffic's only behind us. That's because we were able to get out very quickly. We're below 1,000 feet. Disengage the yaw damper. Slightly to the left of the runway. I'll reset the heading bug for the runway heading. Also, normally a first officer would be doing that, but I am flying on my own, as you know. I can see the pappies, 2 whites and 2 reds. Now this is not a bad approach considering we have winds coming from the right side of the aircraft. Now it's just shifted to slightly to the left. But we're not doing too bad. Approach is pretty stable.
500.
I forgot to set my decision altitude again, but that's not a problem. When it calls out. Now we'll just go into idle, let the speed bleed a bit. Okay, we're going to try to land quick because this is how it was when I was here, but that might be just to do with the wind conditions.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
60 knots.
Blue Jay 6469er, turn next taxiway.
Gust lock's coming on. Flaps are going up. Flaps set up. Landing lights can come off. And we'll just turn off the runway here. Turn off the strobes. Strobe lights off.
Blue
We're
Jay
now off the runway.
6469er contact ground on 121.8. Cebu Air 569er wind 232 at 11. Cleared to land runway 22.
Okay, we're now in Cebu. Welcome to Cebu.
BLUEJAY 6469er.
Blue Jay 672.
Oh shoot. Northeast parking,
McTan
isn't
ground
it?
BLUEJAY 6469er request taxi to northeast parking.
Blue Jay 6469er taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Delta.
Taxiing to general aviation parking using taxiway Delta Blue Jay
There you go.
6469er.
It's pretty straightforward parking this.
The requested position is already assigned to another aircraft.
Now Cebu is looking busy. Qatar Dreamliner parked up there. It looks like there's a Starlux 321 Neo. Dash 8 in front of us. Cebu Pacific A320. It's a busy day. And our parking position will be over here on the right side in this parking ramp over here, which is where most of the regional aircraft end up going. Now I need to work out which line I need to be following. This one, 4C. We got 2 Grand Marshallers because the Flight Simulator's own Marshaller is there as well. And like I showed you in Bacolod, we can pretty much turn on a dime Okay, we're slightly off the yellow line here. And stop. Parking brake is on. I'll cut. Engine 1, put engine 2 into feather. And then we'll set for hotel mode. Prop brake is ready, prop brake is on, fuel pump on the left side is on. And if we go outside, yeah, wheel chocks are in place, and then beacon light is off. Now we can deboard the aircraft.
Requested.
Door can come out, and cargo door can open. Right, there we go. Welcome to Cebu's Mactan Airport. The same place we started the last time we were here. And you got to experience with me a go-around. That's the first time that I've done a proper go-around. It looks like one of our colleagues, the other aircraft that was asked to go around, has just landed too. And then on this occasion, the default boarding is going to happen, or default boarding and deboarding for a remote stand using a bus, which is relevant to this airport, in fact, for most parking positions. And we'll go... Oh, why did the passenger door just close? I'm sure it will open, otherwise I might have to open it, go back to the cockpit and open. Oh, it's open, there we go.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Now, this is one of the things I do like about GSX, is the passenger animations. Now, with this aircraft and Cebu Pacific or CEBGO's protocol for deboarding is normally they board from row to row. Deboarding starts from the back and goes to the front, mostly because of weight issues. If too much weight is being applied to the rear of the aircraft while the front is, let's say, completely unloaded of baggage, then the back of the aircraft will just end up falling down. Anyway, here's the animation of the passengers coming off the aircraft and into the passenger bus. Like I said, thank you for joining me again for another flight on Flight Simulator. I'll be doing some more coming up. This has been Cebu Pacific, operated by CEBGO, flight DG6469, and I thank you for joining me on this one, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye.